Welcome to my Nightmare Club, members. It's Bad Game Summer 2022, and today I'm reviewing a game that's been on my mind for a long time. And to say that I'm excited to talk about it is a huge overstatement, because honestly, I'd rather talk about anything else. All of the clumping, fresh-scented litter in the world couldn't help the fancy feast and catnip turd I'm reviewing today. Let's all give a round of applause to Catwoman, a game with combat and controls that are so terrible that they make Charlie's Angels on the GameCube look like Tekken 7. So I don't even know where to start with this game. It's a movie tie-in game that released in 2004 alongside the Catwoman movie that starred Halle Berry. It's currently sitting at a 9% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 27 out of 100 on Metacritic. The game was actually rated better than the movie, which is sadder than watching a Schindler's List Life is Beautiful double feature after watching both my cats get put down at the same time. So just what's this rancid hairball about? I guess it's supposed to just follow the movie, but the game barely tells you anything about what's going on. After clearing the first level, you get told how Catwoman's alter ego Patience Phillips was murdered by some bad guys, gets brought back to life by a cat, and then she just starts chasing after bad guys in it. This isn't the Selena Kyle Catwoman, so I could not have cared less what happened to this chick. The game is so boring that I'd actually get distracted by playing on my phone during the load times in between levels, and forgot that I had to continue it. I'm gonna say right now that I got as far into this game as I could, but I did not finish it. Would you like to know why? Because if I'm asking you that, it's because something f***ed up happened that prevented me from doing it. So check this out. In between each level, you have the option to buy special moves that all look and sound stupid and aren't satisfying at all. But once you're done doing that, you can save your game. I would save my progress like anybody would. But when I turn the game off to get drunk in the shower and cry while getting the stink of this game off of me and then come back to it later, the game would never actually give me the option to load my save. Like there's a little continue game option, but it's faded out, so you can't choose it. I would turn the game off and on again. I would check the memory card and make sure that there was a save there, and there was. Even when I'd start a new game, it would find the save files, but it would only let me overwrite them. Now, I don't actually hate myself enough to sit there for 6-ish hours straight to play this awful game. As a side note, maybe I would on a stream if there was enough demand for it. So I'd stay with the game as long as I could, which was around the halfway mark. At the time that I'm making this video, I do not think at all that this has anything to do with the hardware. I think this is a software issue. So, let's get to the game itself. The controls in this are nuts, bananas even, and don't make good use of the buttons. To do any sort of fighting or actual running, you're holding down the L1 button the whole time to make her run around on her hands and feet like she's a cat. I get that she has some sort of enhanced abilities or something, but I can't think of a more inefficient and exhausting way to get around, but somehow she moves faster like this than she does on her feet. Try it. Pause this video right now and try to run 10 yards on your feet like a normal person. Then try to run 10 yards on all fours. There's no reason for this. It doesn't look cool, it's stupid, and in real life any enemies would shoot her in like 2 seconds. Also, while holding L1, you hit the square button to attack enemies, referred to in this game as simply guys. So descriptions of your attacks always say things like, this move launches Catwoman at guys nearby, or Catwoman uses her whip to disarm guys, that sort of thing. They're never called anything else, and it sounds like they hired someone off the street to come in and describe the moves in this game. The attacks are terrible, and they're almost like this capoeira Eddie Gordo crap that should also get her immediately killed. Speaking of, there's not really any killing of your enemies because the only way to get rid of them is to knock them into things like dumpsters or car trunks. The violence in this reminded me of Saturday morning cartoons in the 80s where you have characters who look like they would otherwise kill each other but instead do things to catch each other in harmless traps. If that didn't sound bad enough, the biggest issue with this is that you have to position the enemy in front of a trap to actually get them into it. If you can't, then that means that you're basically beating the hell out of them to get them into that position, probably losing health in the process when they hit you, and then by the time any normal person would have brain damage from getting hit so much, then you can knock them into a trap because they're close enough to it. Why they decided this instead of just hitting a guy until they're unconscious is beyond me. When you're not fighting, you're forced to go through these awful platforming segments where clunky and sluggish controls are going to be competing with a terrible camera for the title of worst part of this game. The game takes the most mundane tasks like jumping across gaps or climbing walls and makes them really tedious by giving you little indication of where you actually need to go. To help with that, you have this special cat vision ability that lets you see the scent that someone leaves behind. The scent suspiciously looks like green fart stink, so lucky for Catwoman, whoever she's tracking apparently recently ate at Taco Bell or is maybe from a country where they don't bathe much. The stank lets you know what path you need to take, but you have to stop what you're doing, use the cat vision in first person, then reorient yourself to figure out how to get around, and it just takes too long. In addition to missing jumps because the camera doesn't show you where you need to land half the time, you're also swinging from poles either by hand or by whip, and a lot of times she wouldn't grab onto these, and I just fall and have to run back to the beginning of the whole area and start the platforming over. So again, the fact that none of my saves would load and I'd have to do all of this again was absolutely miserable. Also miserable is wanting your pole grabbed and for a woman to not do it. The graphics, to their credit, don't actually look that bad. Halle Berry looks the most detailed, and the other characters are typical PS2 quality, or even some of them are sub-PS2 quality enemies, and they get the job done. There's almost no music in this, and all the sound is ambient, which is fine. Lots of cat puns in this game though, and those were irritating after like the first 30 minutes. I get that this is Catwoman, but after a while, it's just too campy. There's really not too much else to say about this one, folks. There's a reason Catwoman scored so low with everyone, and that reason is that it's terrible to play and it's absolutely no fun. Couple that with not loading any of my saves, and I'd say it's a broken game too. I'm sure this will be surprising to hear, but none of you missed anything by not playing this. Tragic, I know. But just like after you use the bathroom after going to a Chinese buffet, there's plenty more crap on the way. What game did I abuse myself with next? Subscribe and find out. Thanks for watching. Congratulations! You're one of an elite few to make it to the end of the video. Reward yourself by hitting the round subscribe button in the middle, and then check out the other goodies I've got and the links next to it.